Good morning, everyone. Greg said it's 10 years for him. I did a quick calculation. It's 5 years for me since I was given this or asked to take on this responsibility of working with you. And it has been an interesting journey. Pleasure, yes, some degree of pain too, I imagine, especially for my secretary, trying to work out how to manage my time. But before I start, I just want to say a couple of things. Firstly, I didn't think I'd be standing up here this year. If you remember, 12 months ago at this celebration, this gathering, I said, well, in 2016, there'll be a bishop. We're still waiting. Both Peter Williams and I are still hopeful that there'll be a name before Easter. We're actually expecting it any time, but your guess is as good as mine. So the speculation is rife. You know, there's no conversation that I enter into, both at parish, diocese, or anywhere in Australia, where the question's put to me, so who do you think is going to be the next bishop? And my response is always the same, your guess is as good as mine. I have absolutely no idea. But can I ask that you continue to pray that we will get shortly a bishop? Because the longer it goes on, the more, certainly the more anxious I get, because I want to plan my holidays. You're laughing, it's the first day back. Aren't you counting down the days too? Was it 10 weeks or 11 weeks to go? The next thing, quite seriously, you probably heard about Bishop Anthony as well. And again, it's a request for prayers. He is getting better, but he's not out of the woods yet. And indeed, this will be a continuing theme for him. So as he's been our great supporter of Catholic education, and in so many ways a great part of our diocese, as his bishop with, I should say Archbishop Anthony now. So can I ask that you also keep him in your prayers as well, and as hopefully he will continue to improve, as I'm sure he will. Right. What do leaders need to be thinking about? When I was thinking about this, it took me back to year 11 and 12, when I was doing biology at Patrician Brothers at Fairfield. And we had a book, and I don't know if anyone did biology back then. I'm sure some of you did. And the textbook we had was The Web of Life. Does anyone remember The Web of Life? Cool book. It was the biggest book in the bloody backpack that I had to carry around with. But anyway, there it was. This is days before computers. But it was kind of a bit of a Bible for me, because I really enjoyed it. Because prior to that, it was, my kind of bread and butter was physics and chemistry. And then, for those of you who know me, would understand what I'm talking about in terms of physics and chemistry. But the Web of Life is this intriguing thing that really sucked me into the notion that everything is connected. And it seemed more natural than anything that everything was connected. And as I went along in my studies, not just in biology, but then later on in theology and certainly in philosophy, and then later on in quantum mechanics, to recognize that connectedness was the stuff of life. And it kind of blew my mind to imagine that what made Jesus the Christ physical in our universe is still around. Matter is neither created nor destroyed. It's just rearranged. So what made Jesus the Christ real is still here amongst us, breathing in and out. And it became even more exciting when I was able to share on 2 occasions in the last 12 months being in the Holy Land. And I look around and I see some of you here that we travelled on that journey together, to recognise that we were there, that everything is connected, and that connectedness also includes our God, that God is so committed to us so committed to us, that he shares our universe, shares our space, and is connected to us in such a unique and profound and very simple way. But yet he forms part of who we are. And I think that's worth reflecting on a little bit, about the commitment of God to us. You know, there's a lot of talk about the Year of Mercy, and that's absolutely fantastic. But we've just celebrated Christmas. And as I was reflecting on Christmas, I thought to myself, you know, we talk about the Father sending the Son, and we do that whole crib thing and, you know, open presents, and it's all very nice. But I'm just going to pick on a couple of tables and just ask for one person to give me an answer. So I'm going to pick the closest. Presence. Okay, that's one answer. Leadership. Okay. Unconditional love. I'll pick one last one. Educator. All those things are excellent, but try and think, I'm not trying to think of a really grand answer. The simplest answer for anyone who is father or mother is the fact that they have a child, a son or a daughter. That's the one thing that all fathers or all mothers have that completely defines them. Like, I'm called father because of the notion of a relationship to a parish. But in that biological sense, mothers and fathers are such because they have a child. Taken that away, they're not father or mother. A child, a living or dead, is the product of them. That's what the Father committed to us. Everything that made the Father, Father. There's nothing God will withhold. I mean, it's a simple message, but it's quite profound when you think about it. That everything that God defined himself as, God said, here, I give you. I give you as gift. Everything that the Father is given to us, the Son. So there's nothing the Father will withhold because he has committed everything of himself to us. And if we want to talk about God as mother, exactly the same. The total commitment of God's identity is given to us in love. For God loved the world so much that he sent his Son. This is a simple but the most profound statement at the heart of our faith. That believing this and accepting this is a lifetime in trying to translate and process in our lives. Because I know myself, we tend to be conditional. Take, for example, the concept of gift. The gift that is given to us, we need to continually unpack. Let's think about the gifts we got at Christmas. How many of them have we unpacked? How many have we put into use? How many are put away for someone else? In my family, I grew up with an extended family of about 45 people. And being an Asian culture, at Christmas time, we'd all give each other gifts. You could barely see the star on the top of the bloody Christmas tree. There were so many gifts. Until finally, one gift did the round. And the person who gave that gift 2 years ago got it back. Still in the same paper. And we woke up to the fact that This was more a custom than something of generosity of heart. What do we do with the gift of God to us? Are we still unpacking? Or are we ready to hand it on? If we are continually unpacking that gift, how do we put it into action? The gifts become real only when we use them, when we benefit from them. To use the concept of play, when we play with them. So, what do leaders need to be thinking about is, am I playing with Christ? Am I engaging with Jesus, the gift that has been given to me? In what way am I engaging with that Christ for others? It's a challenging question for all of us. And in the theme of everything is connected, what do we mean by everything? I know that I constantly have to be reminded that there are things I forget. I think of the analogy of a CD. I'm old enough to remember vinyl, and looking around here, I think there are some here that remember vinyl. A few of you do. The competition, vinyl records versus CDs. I believe vinyl's making a comeback. Because vinyl picks up the highs and the lows that CDs don't. In our CD approach to life, have we missed certain highs and certain lows? Are there things we haven't seen? And the answer is yes, of course there isn't. There are. There are things that we haven't seen. And I think that's where Christ can help us recognize. Mark was talking about the Beatitudes. And we can go through them. When I was sick, when I was a stranger, when I was naked, when I was lonely. And to filter in our minds, Lord, when did we see you? Where did we see you? In other words, I'm challenging all of us to ask and to broaden our concept of what is everything. Because you see, most human beings, if we are going to be rational, have to focus on something. And that's really good, to focus on something. As long as we don't forget to connect it with the other somethings, to connect it into that broader picture. And here mercy comes into play. We heard the story or the parable of the unforgiving servant. How do we forgive is a way of being inclusive as well. What do I mean by that? When we are focusing on something, when we're hurt, we're focusing usually on the action of the person that hurt us. The challenge is to remember the everything that the person is, even if the person forgets. You've heard me talk about this before. What is the everything? And do I see everything? Acknowledge everything? Engage with everything? Have I left anything out? And I can do that if I engage with my colleagues and ask, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you understand? And open myself to listen and to be inclusive. It's very challenging, yes. But it's also very exciting because it means that everything is new. And this gift, which is Jesus, can keep on encouraging me to see bigger, broader, deeper, to discover yet new possibilities in the present moment. So the challenge, I guess, another metaphor perhaps to leave you with here is, again, as a leader, to perhaps look beyond the CD version of life that takes in that particular spectrum, but to broaden our gaze and to see that within each individual. Let me add a little notion, a note of caution. We can't do this on our own. Yes, we need our colleagues around us, but also we've got to give ourselves time and space. You know, Greg, in his presentation, talked about the two ways of distraction, either burying our head in the sand or throwing lots of money into it. Another way is to also say, I can't do this now, I'm occupied by the present urgent need. Something that helps me is to always make the urgent need the person sitting right in front of me right now. To make that person the most urgent need right now. In other words, and those who've been with me on the pilgrimage would have heard these, to be present in the present moment. To be present in the present moment with the other. And to be totally present as a leader to the other is one of the greatest gifts you can give to your colleagues, to your companions, to your students, to everyone. To be present in the present moment. So with Greg too, I want to encourage you and wish you well. I'm not sure if I'm going to be here in 12 months' time. A new bishop definitely will be, but when a new bishop comes, the system changes, certainly in the Chancery office. The ecclesiastical staff will usually stay on for a few months until the new guy gets a handle on things, and then we go back into being normal people again. So I'm not sure if I'll be continuing in this role. So after 5 years, I want to say, and this is a great opportunity to do it, to thank each and every one of you. I especially want to thank those who've endured me on the pilgrimages. It's been a privilege because I was thinking about it, in 12 months I was away 3 times with 3 different groups, and it's been a wonderful experience each time. I've enjoyed working with you not only in your schools, but also in your parishes. So every blessing in the coming year. It promises to be a fantastic one in so many ways, and we're really looking forward to the new leadership and direction our new bishop, whoever he is, God knows, will bring us. Thank you.